Let me go then to Mo Ansar. He's a commentator. He's also a Muslim. I don't know whether he's an eater of lamb chops or not. We shall ask him. Hello, Mo. Morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
I do eat lamb chops, yes.
I mean, did you know until this morning that had you been shopping at Tesco or M&S or Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Waitrose, that your lamb chops, especially if they were from New Zealand, would have been halal? Did you know that?
I didn't. I mean, there's a bit of a fastest gun in the West trick thing being done here at the minute, because there is still quite a vociferous debate within Muslim communities about whether stun slaughtered meat can be qualified as halal or not.
Yes.
But let's put that to one side for a second.
Yes.
If we don't buy halal meat from Asda or Tesco's or Waitrose or wherever, but if we were to, you're quite right. We wouldn't wander over to the New Zealand lamb section because it's not labelled halal. I had a conversation with Tesco's, the head of marketing at Tesco's a while back about their kind of ready meals and halal ranges, because some supermarkets have introduced halal ranges, and I've said, look, it would be great to be able to go into a shop and see something labelled as halal and to be able to buy it, but I can't tell what's halal and what's not without a label.
And what did they say when you said, why didn't you just label the meat halal? What did they say?
They said there's something they're looking at. I mean, my dad's been working in the halal meat industry for about 30-odd years in North London, so I'm very kind of close to the industry. One of the arguments I put forward and for quite some time now is that those people making arguments about stun and non-stun and whether halal is cruel or not are not looking at the current non-kosher, non-shakita, non-halal British meat industry here, because we slaughter some in the region of between 850 million and 1 billion animals a year for consumption in this country. It's a ridiculously vast sum. And animal rights organisations like Animal Aid, I know, have said recently that somewhere in the region of 80% of abattoirs which they surveyed were breaching animal rights standards. There's horrific animal slaughter going on, and very, very cruel and really inhumane. And to focus on Jews and Muslims as being kind of the focus of the problem is I think it's deeply unjust.
It's interesting. Yesterday we talked about this on the programme. This is inspired by the Pizza Express chicken, and we talked about it for a good 2 hours and definitely could have gone on longer. And some callers said they didn't like the idea of eating halal meat because they didn't like the idea of the animal's throat being slit. Others said they didn't like the idea of eating halal meat because they didn't like the notion of eating some meat that had a Muslim person intoning a prayer saying how great Allah is over the meat while the meat was being slaughtered. And when I said, well, you won't taste the prayer, it won't kind of infuse the chicken, it'll still be a bit of chicken, whatever, anybody, even if they were singing Puppet on a String while they were slaughtering it, it won't affect or infect or in any way penetrate the chicken. People said, I don't care what you're saying, Vanessa, I just don't like the idea of it. I don't want to eat meat that has been blessed, according as one person says, to an alien culture from mine. I don't want a Muslim piece of chicken. I want chicken that is, if I'm an atheist, I want chicken that hasn't had a prayer anywhere near it. If I'm Christian, I wouldn't mind if you said the Lord's Prayer over it, but I don't want a Muslim prayer to be said over it. Now, had Pizza Express been selling kosher chicken, I will wager they would have said the same about that. They would have said, I don't want some rabbi praying all over my chicken. I'm not Jewish. I don't want to eat that kosher chicken.
You know what? We really need to move back to a position of tolerance, I think, in this country, and respect. And I know those are weird, kind of foreign, alien terms to use nowadays, but we've seen the far right rising all across Europe. And to think that those views, those ideological views, don't permeate and don't cross that little strip of water between us and mainland Europe into this country, I think is wrong.
But do you think that people who are non-Muslim have a right to know, because it seems people are very keen to know, they want to know, is the meat halal or not? And then when they're told, they can choose. Yes, I do. I love New Zealand lamb chops. They're halal. I'm happy to buy them. I like them. They're delicious. Or, no, I don't want to eat them. I don't need to eat halal meat. I don't want to, and I'm not going to. Do you think they have the right to be told at least?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, oddly enough, I spent 18 months with Tommy Robinson before he left the English Defence League, and one of the few areas we agreed on was that we both wanted to see labelling on food to know whether it was halal or not. Now, I do think there is a concern. I mean, about 15 years ago, I think the meat industry lobbied for change to some of the some of the statutes in regards to how we look after animals in our slaughtering process here, and they changed the rules so that you can have. Now, Muslims and Jews generally won't eat pork, obviously, but you know you can have a situation nowadays in slaughterhouses where you've got 5 or 6 pigs in a pen, and you know, a slaughterman will come over and he will, you know, electrocute and torture those animals to death one by one, and they're all together now. The idea that you put that kind of fear and inhumane treatment on an animal while other animals are in its presence is deeply worrying.
So I just want to.
I think the question of labelling is broader. I think people would like to know how their meat is slaughtered and where it's come from, and what the provenance is, if you like, of that meat.
So you seem to be in absolute accord with Shimon Cohen, the director of Shechita UK. He says exactly the same as you've just said. Final question, even though we're running a tiny bit late, for which I apologise. Do you maintain that Muslim slaughter, halal slaughter of meat, is a humane way of killing an animal?
Absolutely. We have over 100 years' worth of research which says that when you look at Jewish and Muslim slaughter, halal and shechita, done professionally, it is no more inhumane than the best of any other slaughter method. And so it is a very humane way of slaughtering an animal. The slitting of the throat is an instant stun, and the expelling of the blood of the animal is incredibly healthy for human digestion. So it's, we're trying to get a balance between the needs of the animal, of course, to be treated in a humane way, but also the needs of people who want to then consume that meat. I think it's, and if actually we moved to a kosher or halal-based principles and processes, I think overwhelmingly the vast majority, the 10% of animals which are slaughtered in an inhumane way, of those 1 billion animals would be vastly better treated.
Mo, thank you for talking to us. Mo Ansar, their Muslim commentator, taking your...